Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at how we can make a barrage of arrows with Blender. Okay, so first of all I'm just going to switch into the top view and I'm going to get rid of the default cube and I'm just going to center my cursor. Okay, and I'm going to add in a cylinder and scale it in on everything but the Z axis, just to make a small shaft, and this is going to make up the main part of our arrows. So tab in here, go into wireframe view and then extrude that up a little bit, and then I'm going to extrude it up again, and then I'm just going to go ahead and merge those at center to make a kind of tip for the arrow. Okay, now I'm going to add in a plane and rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees. Wait, what's that done? That appears to have bugged out a little bit. The y-axis by 90, and then I'm going to scale that in, and in side view I'm just going to move these edges so they're roughly to the center, and then I'm going to go to face select mode and just drag this right down to the bottom, and this is going to make up our kind of the guides for our arrow. So I'm just going to extrude that edge there, then scale it in some and just bring it back down there, and just going to help with the actually I want it maybe a little bit longer, so I'm going to scale the whole thing on the Z axis and bring it up a little bit, and that's just going to give us something that we could go ahead and add maybe an image with transparency to make up a feather looking thing. I'm not going to go too deeply into texturing for this, but around the center now, with our center point just there, I am going to hit spin, and then I'm going to change it to 3 steps, and then I'm going to tick on duplicate to stop it joining those up, and I'm just going to go 360 degrees. Then I'm going to select everything and remove doubles. Okay, so that's making an okay looking arrow. Apart from I'm thinking that the flights are a little bit big. So I'm just going to tab in and select the end verts there, and I'm just going to go scale Shift Z, bring those in a little bit. then I'm just going to take the top 3, scale them down a little bit. I think that's looking more like the form that we would kind of want for this kind of little animation. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go now, and now is the point to do all your texturing and stuff, because it'll be kind of harder to do later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all and give this, go over to cycles, I'm going to give this kind of base wood-like texture. Diffuse, and then I'm going to make these a new material, hit assign and have those white, and then I'm going to add, I'm actually just going to tick over into material view while I'm doing this. Maybe take those, make a new material, and I'm going to make it red. So new, hit assign, red. I'm just going to go to wireframe mode here and select these. I'm going to add a new material, assign it, and I just want those to be a glossy. Okay, so we come out to front view now and tab out of edit mode and tick over to rendered. We can see we kind of have a nice looking rudimentary arrow, and in this, with this kind of animation, the texturing really would be the thing to separate the realism from maybe a more cartoony look we'll get this time. So I'm going to add to this an array, and we want maybe a barrage of 100 arrows. So we want 10 along the x-axis with a separation of maybe 15. And then array, and then maybe 10 again, and maybe bring it in a little bit and make that 12 and make that 0. Just bring them in. So if we go over to front view now, go into perspective mode, we can see we've got some arrows. That's not quite what we want yet. So I'm going to go back into top view and I'm going to apply these modifiers, and I'm going to tab in to edit mode. And I'm actually going to tab out, maybe scale this all down, and now I'm going to leave those where they are for a second. They're kind of hard to see at the moment. But I'm just going to do some basic setup here. So I'm going to rotate my camera 45 degrees. And then in side view again, rotate it 45. Wait, no. I'm just going to do this by eye. I just kind of want it level. So when we go into our camera view, we go out a little bit, we have kind of an even placement. So if we go back into front view, what I'm trying to say is I want the camera quite straight on for this. You of course could put your camera anywhere, especially once you've kind of done the animation or the animating process, but for now it's good to have it there. And now I'm going to go back into front view and I'm going to add an empty. And just bring that down, and I want that kind of level with the camera. I'm going to start doing things by eye, but I want it quite a way down. Because basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this empty as a controller, because we need our arrows to arc a little bit as they go past. So once we've done, kind of just making them a bit more. We'll get onto that later. Basically what we're going to use the empty for is when we rotate the empty, this group of objects here, or this thing here, not a group of objects. Well, in the real world it is a group of objects, but in virtual space it's going to be one object. So we want this one object to rotate around our empty. So you'll see. So I'm going to go into top view here, and I'm going to tab into edit mode with the arrows here. And in wireframe mode, I'm just going to hit C on the keyboard to enter brush select, and I'm just going to take at random arrows from this kind of array of arrows we've got. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take them. This is the boring bit to this. In 3D design there is always a boring bit, and this is the boring bit. I'm just going to take some of them, trying to make it as random as possible. And I'm going to go into front view, and then I'm just going to pull them back a bit. You can see I haven't quite caught one there. So I can see the one that I haven't quite caught all of it. So again, and I'm just going to move that backwards a tad. And then I'm just going to repeat this process of just selecting random arrows and moving them back and forth until I've got something that kind of resembles a barrage. So it's all nice and random and which doesn't look boring at all. Because right now, if we were to do this now, it'd look kind of boring. Just not what we'd want. This must be kind of tedious to watch me doing it. Might decide to skip forward a bit in post. If I can. Of course, with yours, you could always think of some fancy way to automate this process and then tell me when you have. That would be great. If anyone out there has like a way of just randomizing arrays or anything, that would be really good. Okay, I think that is enough now, just for the purposes of this video. I would go ahead and do it a good another 2 or 3 times. I'm just going to rotate these around the y-axis by -90 degrees, just so that they're facing in the right direction. Then I am going to pull them back a little bit. I'm just going to go Shift F to fly my camera. And I'm just going to fly it to a point in the arrows that looks kind of good. Okay. That should do it. Okay, so in top view, move my empty directly under my arrow barrage, and I'm going to name this empty rotation, and I'm going to add in another empty, and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move this kind of with the roundabout where the arrows are, and I'm going to call this tracking, and then constraint. Okay, so now I'm going to go Control T to track to constraint, selecting the constraint first, then the camera, and then track to constraint. And wait, no. Camera first, then empty, then track to constraint. And that's just going to make a little thing where we can move the empty and our camera's going to move with it. Very useful. Now we're going to make our animation 100 frames long, and we're going to go to frame 100. No, we're not. We're going to go back to frame 1. Sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself. Okay, so now we're going to select our arrows, then select our empty, and then parent those arrows to our empty, like that. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the side panel and split my view down. So I've got a side on view, and then I want my camera view as well. What I'm going to do now is, in my front view, I think, I'm just going to rotate that arrow barrage back so it's out of the field of view. And then I'm going to press I on my keyboard, and then location rotation scale to add a keyframe there. Then I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to frame 100 of my animation. And then I'm going to rotate these, and then I'm going to go I, location rotation scale. And what that will have done is just made the main animation. So we can see we've got our arrows starting to come in, and then they go out right about when we end the animation there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to about halfway through, and then I'm going to select our empty and then do a location rotation scale, and then I'm going to go to the end of the animation, and I'm just going to grab our empty now and do another location rotation scale. So that's just given us a bit of camera movement in there as well. So if we move to the beginning and change our view to material, I'd render this out, but I don't have the system resources to do so while I'm recording. And just hit Alt A to play our animation. You can see our arrows come in, and just as our arrows are going out, our camera starts to move over a couple of second period. And now you could go ahead and render this out. In your favorite movie format, and use it in some fancy compositing work. Thank you for watching.